Hey everybody, I'm Bill. This is Zap. Hello, Zap.
Hello, Bill. How you doing?
I'm doing good. Today is October 6th. This is episode 48 of Run, Jump, Stomp, a podcast about stuff. This week, we're going to be talking about Amazon Games Studio announces some games.
Standalone is a no-go.
Amazon unveils Steam and brings gambling to Twitch.
Blizzard back on top, maybe.
A portal to Hollywood.
A horror game delayed.
Those stories and more on this episode of Run, Jump, Stomp. Stick around. All right, we are all set to get started. We've got a whole bunch of stories to talk about. The first one, so first we got to talk about it's the headlines.
Now your tomorrow morning's headlines tonight.
And here's what makes it really marvelous.
So Amazon Game Studios, which, do you remember when they announced that they were doing game studios, like making their own games?
No.
It was pretty recently that they did that. Maybe within a year?
I never heard that they... Obviously, a developer that we're all very much, know, as in Colin Johansson went there, but I didn't realize that they were going full pelt into game making.
No, not right now. No. Go do your homework. All right, I'm back. Sorry, my son needed my attention for something. He needs to go do his homework is what he needs to do. All right, so yeah, Colin Johansson, he's a lead dev for Guild Wars 2. He ended up going there after leaving ArenaNet earlier this year. Although, how long ago did he leave? It's been quite a while.
It was February time. It was just before they released what I call Heart of Thorns 2.0. Okay. They released that in spring, the spring patch, which was April, and I believe he left around February, March time.
Okay, so Colin Johansson, he's an awesome developer. And so he went to Amazon Game Studios. I know that I don't know if he's actually working on games there or not, but there's another person who is a guy I used to follow on podcasts, and he used to write for video game magazines and stuff, and that's Garnett Lee. He also works at Amazon. I don't know if he's in the game studios like as a developer now, or if he's just there for like as like a content manager or something like that. But those are two people who I think are awesome working there. But they made huge announcements at TwitchCon. The first one the first thing that they announced, well, first off, they announced 3 games, and I'm going to talk about each one. I'll mention each one, like the overall gist of it, and then see what we think about it. So the first one I want to talk about is New World, and it's a sandbox MMO, and the sandbox MMO means that basically the players have a lot more freedom to do what it is that they feel like doing, but it's set in 17th century colonial America, and it has which that for me sounds fantastic. I like the idea of having an MMO that's set in a historically accurate place. But then they also said that they also have supernatural content. So basically, the way that somebody described it, I don't know who was describing it, but they said all of the things that the people of that time were afraid of are real in this world, which sounds really cool. But it's a sandbox MMO, and I just want to get this out of the way. A lot of people just assume that Colin Johansson, or is it Johansson? I don't know. A lot of people assumed that he was working on New World. He is not working on New World. He's working on a different game. So he's not working on the MMO. He's working on something else. But the MMO sounds really, really cool to me. So what do you think about that, Zap?
I caught some of their live announcement on Twitch. It was very late here when they announced it. It was like 4 in the morning or 3 in the morning. So stupid. But New World sounds really cool. As an MMO fan, I'll definitely check it out. Gonna keep an eye on it and follow all the needed channels. So yeah, when it's set sounds really, really cool. We haven't had any MMOs that I know of is set in that era of time, and the supernatural content. Yeah, I say bring it on. Let's have a new studio, give it a go. You know, the MMO market at the minute is a little bit quiet. There's not a lot really on the horizon. So yeah, bring it on. I say.
Yeah, and one thing that I was thinking about is I bet that I think that this is going to be a free-to-play game. Because that's really what MMOs do these days. But I bet they're going to have a monetization. This game, and probably all of the games that they announced, are going to have a very unique monetization model, I think. At least in my gut is telling me this, because they're going to be monetizing it through Twitch, I think, because they all have very deep, like they didn't get into how New World has hooks for Twitch, but they did talk about other stuff as having hooks for Twitch. And I think that they're going to depend on people are watching ads or subscribing to Twitch Prime, or which we'll talk more about later. And that's going to be their monetization model. Maybe they'll also put out not customizables. What is it to make your character look different?
Fashion Wars.
Yeah. But there's like a word for it. It starts with a C, I think. Not customizables, not collectibles. I can't think of the word.
Skins. Stuff.
Yeah, well, whatever it is. Yeah, they're gonna sell skins and stuff in order to make money. But I think that their main way of making money is ads on Twitch, because this game is gonna have this deep Twitch integration. And I think that if anybody is in a position to make a game with a brand new monetization model that nobody else has done before, I think that Twitch and AKA Amazon Game Studios are the ones that can pull that off. That's how I'm looking at it. Do you have anything to add before we move on to the next game?
No, I think you're pretty much bang on. I think it's definitely going to be one to watch, and they're, like you say, in a very strong position. They control a very strong market, so let's hope they get it right. You know, that's all I want to say. Let's hope they get it right.
All right. So the next game that they talked about was called Crucible, and this is the one that here. Let me just close that. This is the one that Colin Johansson is actually working on. From what I've heard, I don't know this for a fact. Like, it's not like anybody has talked to me about it. It's just I read that someplace, and so I think it's probably true. But that doesn't mean that I'm right. But I heard that he's working on Crucible. Now, Crucible has a very different sound to it. So basically, the way Crucible works is it is a 12-player. What's the word I'm trying to think of? A 12-player arena brawler where last man standing wins. And when you're playing the game, I'm showing video from the wrong, or footage from the wrong video. I must have clicked it wrong. This video that you can see in the background is from New World, so I must have screwed that up. But in Crucible, 12-man winner take all. The last man standing. It's a third-person shooter. Now the thing about it, though, is it's kind of like Hunger Games as well, because the players also have to work together to stay alive in the world, because there's bad things in the world that are going to attack them. Which that would be enough for something new to happen, for something to be something new and unique. But on top of that, there's also room for a 13th player, and the 13th player is supposed to be the streamer. So the streamer is cooking up events for the other 12 players who are, in theory, the streamer's followers or subscribers or whatever it is. And the streamer, the 13th player, can cook up scenarios to try and trip up these 12 players, so they have to work together. But at any time, they can turn around and backstab each other. And then on top of that, they also said that Twitch chat can help change the rules of the game as you're playing. So they've just got some crazy stuff going on in for Crucible. What do you think about the sounds of that game?
Yeah, well, I'm a big fan of those style of games. That kind of every man for himself thing. I mean, I played the Minecraft versions of them where you run in, grab the chests, and grab the stuff that you need. I think that'd be really cool. I think it's something different. Especially the 13th player. You see this actually in a game is Savage Lands, I think it's called. Let me just quickly check. Savage Resurrection, which is a mobile style first person, very good like RTS. It's got a lot of genres in, but you have an extra person who can do a lot of different things from the sideline. So that's quite cool. That's a nice way of bringing different things into it. So again, they sound like they're promising a lot, and I hope that they really do spend the time and just get them right, because the last thing you want is a new game studio coming up. Even though it's as much power as Amazon has, you don't want to see them fall flat on their face on the first games. And so far, the big two, the New Worlds, the MMO, and Crucible, both sound very exciting games. So that's what I hope for, and I really pray that they get it right. It's nice to see another game studio come out of anywhere and hopefully knock some games out of the park.
Yeah, to me, it feels like these are, whether these are good games or not, one thing that you can definitely say for them is that they are very unique games. They're not like it feels like they're taking a bunch of stuff from a bunch of different places and putting it all together to make something new. The third game on the list is called Breakaway. And Breakaway, I guess the best way for me to describe it is it's a 4v4 game where you've got a ball that you got to get to a hoop, like soccer or basketball or something like that. It feels a little bit like a MOBA, but there's no like minions, and each character in the game, it's very hero based, so you've got a bunch of heroes that all have different abilities. Each hero has different combat abilities, but they also have different buildable items. So they can build, like, one character can build a ramp that launches you over objects that are in your way. Another character can put, like, down a spike trap to slow people down. And there's 3 ways to win. You either get the ball to the hoop on the other team's side, kill the entire team before any of them respawn, because when you get killed, you respawn. And if you can wipe out the whole team before before somebody respawns, then you win. And then the third way is when the game runs out of time, whoever has the ball on their side of the map, I guess, would lose. They also have they also have built-in overlays for Twitch, where it's going to give you all kinds of stats about the game that you're watching or playing on Twitch, just like it does when you watch Smite or Heroes of the Storm or something. They have these overlays that somebody has gone ahead and built, so that people watching can keep track of everything that isn't readily available on the screen when you're watching somebody else play. So Breakaway also looked like a lot of fun. It looked really unique. What did you think about it?
Breakaway was one of my favorite out of the 3.
I'm sorry about that. I had to talk to somebody. So what was your opinion on this?
Breakaway looks like, for me, is, as a PvP person, Breakaway and Crucible definitely my top 2. Breakaway really looked like a lot of fun. because it involved a ball, and there's nothing more wrong with that. Anything to do with a ball, football. The MMO kind of stands bottom of my list because I don't know enough about the MMOs, and there's been enough bad MMOs in the market where you sort of been hurt by it, if that makes sense. Breakaway and Crucible look different enough to make me go, I'm really interested in those. Breakaway especially, the whole stuff on the Twitch to make it look like when you're watching Smite competitions, they really are going, even if the games kind of suck, what they're showing off is power that they have with Twitch, and they can build upon that base. So hats off to Amazon, and I really hope it works for them.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely agree. So let's hear about your first story.
My first story is standalone is a no-go. Well, that was until I checked it earlier today, but we'll get to that in a second. Now, before we go into the story, when I say standalone to you, Run Jump, in the game terms, what do you think I mean by that?
Well, I've never heard of standalone, so the first thing that comes to my mind is it's a single-player game.
Well, standalone would be if you buy, say, this expansion.
Oh, okay. Yeah. I understand. Okay,
you don't need a previous game to play it, or you don't need a disc inserted into the system to play it. Now, this story caught my attention. Call of Duty, the Infinite Warfare, and the remastered Call of Duty 4 has caught a real whirlwind of turbulence over the course of this year, with being the most hated video on YouTube to what is now, and it's Activision really kind of playing on words, and I don't like this from a company that has so much power in the gaming world. So the story goes from the fan site Charlie Intel is that on October 3rd, so we're talking 3 days ago, that they said that the Infinite Warfare disc was required to play Modern Warfare 4. But Activision announced Modern Warfare 4 as a standalone game. So it would be, you'd have got Infinite Warfare as a disc, a code to download Modern Warfare, job done.
Wait a second. Okay.
So
I'm a little confused. So
go on.
Okay, so you buy Call of Duty Infinite Warfare, and you need some other disc to play it?
And you need the Infinite Warfare disc. So from when Activision announced it, it was announced as a standalone game. You won't need any disc. It's a digital download. It'll be on your system, your PlayStation, your Xbox, or your PC, and you'll be able to play it without a disc. So most games are the
if I buy a game, and I don't currently have a modern console. I have a Wii U, and that's the only console that I have because I'm more of a PC gamer. But for me, and I'm just trying to understand what's going on here. So if I buy Call of Duty Infinite Warfare,
yep.
On a disc. If I buy it on a disc and I put the disc in and I install the game on my console, in order to play it, I have to leave it in the console. So that's my first question. Yes?
Yeah. If you were to play from when they announced the game earlier this year, to play Infinite Warfare, yes, you would have had to do that. So we're talking two separate games.
Wait, okay, so where's the other game? That's the thing where I'm confused about. What's the other game?
Been a digital download as a code. So you go onto your Xbox store, your PlayStation store, and download it so it goes to your hard drive, and then as they said at the early of the year, Activision says you can run it without a disc.
But what's the other game? So Infinite Warfare is game A. What's the second game?
Call of Duty 4 Remastered.
Okay, so if I buy Infinite Warfare, I get a code that says you can download
exactly
this.
That.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, this doesn't bother me.
Well, no, that's fine, but it's what they did on October 3rd.
Okay.
So if you buy, so you're effectively buying two games. All right, if you pre-ordered Call of Duty, you've bought two games for $80, I think it was, right? And when they announced it as a standalone, so Infinite Warfare will require your disc. Call of Duty 4 is a standalone game. It's a separate game from the other one. You download it to your system and you can play it without a disc. October 3rd, they announced that Call of Duty 4 will need the Infinite Warfare disc. going back on what they stated, saying that Call of Duty 4 would be a standalone game, not an actual game that requires a disc. Does that make sense?
Well, I mean, I guess.
The issue I see here is
yeah. This is what I want to hear. I don't see the issue.
The issue I see here with this is Activision to go and hang on a minute. Call of Duty 4 would sell loads on its own. Infinite Warfare hasn't done so well in pre-orders. The only reason it's done well in pre-orders is because of the remastered. Everyone wants to play the remastered. But we don't want people to trade in Infinite Warfare. So if you've bought Infinite Warfare, for instance, I don't like Infinite Warfare, but I like Call of Duty. You've then got Call of Duty without having to need Infinite Warfare. They'll see loads of their games back in as GameStop for you, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, and we have Game over here, which then the developers don't see any money from a second sale of the game, which I understand fully. But as reading to this today, which actually makes this story completely and utterly useless, you're now not required to need the disc.
Yeah, there was an update on October 5th. And
yes, yesterday they did the update. When I did the story at the beginning of the week, they had come out and said that you will need the disc. And my main point to it was, I didn't like the fact that companies are saying one thing, that you can have it without a disc, or you can have this, and then right before it releases next month. No, sorry, you're going to need Infinite Warfare. That just made me feel that Activision are very scared how Infinite Warfare's faring in sales and how it's going to do and all this sort of stuff, and that people only want Call of Duty Modern Warfare. So for me, that was more of a case of Activision just being a bit sneaky, and October 5th they reverted that. So this story actually is now null and void.
Okay, I'm still confused about the whole story, but I'm just going to read this one part just so anybody who's listening knows what it is that's going on. It says, if you are buying the Call of Duty Infinite Warfare Digital Legacy or Digital Deluxe Edition, there is no disc or code. You are not required to have both downloaded in order to play either content, which means you can just download Infinite Warfare or just download Modern Warfare Remastered, depending on which one you want to play. For Digital Legacy and Digital Deluxe editions of Infinite Warfare on PS4, there is no game or voucher code. An internet connection is required to download content. Modern Warfare Remastered and Infinite Warfare are two separate downloads. There is no requirement to have both installed in order to play either piece of content, and no game disc is required if you purchase the Digital Legacy or Digital Deluxe edition of Infinite Warfare. Okay, so now that I've said that, first off, this is way too confusing. I should not need a flow chart to be able to understand how to play my game. This is way too confusing. This is my problem with the story, is that it's too confusing. I shouldn't, and first off, just sell one version of the flippin' game. Don't put out the Digital Warfare, Infinite Legacy, Infinite Digital Call of Duty, Remastered Warfare Modern content. I don't know what the hell all that means.
What that game you just announced, I want that.
Yeah. It's so confusing. So, first off, if you didn't understand what the hell I just said, go to the website. It'll be on the show notes. You can read it yourself, and then just take your computer, set it on fire, because that's really the way you're better off. Because, God, what a disaster this is.
Yeah, what I should have said is this. On October 3rd, this is what it stated. I should have started with this. PlayStation 4. So let's do PlayStation 4, because it's the game that...
That's the one that you care about.
Sort of care about. Everyone knows that I'm getting a bit salty towards Sony. Call of Duty Modern Warfare Remastered is a full game digital download that will be included in the Infinite Warfare Legacy Edition and Legacy Pro Edition. Right, on PlayStation 4. The digital download is redeemed via a voucher code on insert in the box. The Infinite Warfare game disc must be inserted to play Modern Warfare Remastered. Internet connection is required. So that's what they stated on October 3rd. What you just came out with is what they changed it to on October 5th.
Probably due to backlash,
Exactly what I was going to say. The community went absolutely ape, and they were just like, "Well, hang on a minute." Exactly what you said, and I've said it from the start of this with one of my friends. Why didn't they just sell both games separately? Just give us both games and stop using the whole nostalgia thing to make people spend the Legacy What's It edition, the top Legacy edition is about 100 and I'll do it in, so it's about $160 odd. Right? I don't know what you get for $160, but I just want one or the other. Not both. That's what frustrates me with big companies. They can just go, right, here's a game. Oh, we've remastered everyone's favorite game. Oh, but you need this game to play it, plus all of this stuff for like $100 odd. But I want that. I just and then you get this confusing mess, which again, I now want to set my PC on fire because my poor PC is. I'm surprised my PC didn't crash through that.
Yeah.
You know, so you know, the whole point of the story was, you know, I just feel it's a mess. Again, it's a big company getting it wrong when, do you know what? It could have been the best release this year. It really could have been. And Activision could have been put on a podium and gone, they've done it. They've remastered the best multiplayer online shooter. But no, they've just screwed fans.
Yeah.
That angers me.
All right. Well, that being said, confusing nonsense aside, let's go ahead and check out the next story. And this one is probably going to get Zap a little upset. This story is that Amazon is revealing Twitch's first currency and has gambling systems built in. Now, they haven't said very much about it, but what they said is it's called Stream Plus, and they didn't really tell us much about it, but basically, the way Stream Plus works in the most basic sense, because we really don't know a whole lot about it, is that Stream Plus is a currency that you can get. They haven't said how you can get it, but then you can bet that currency on a game that you're watching. So like if you're playing Breakaway, like I'm showing on the screen if you're watching the show, it's so I can say, all right, well, I think that Zap is going to score first here, so I'm going to place a bet that he's going to score, or maybe that his team's going to win, or whatever that is. And what I'm betting is my Stream Plus currency, which, by the way, is a terrible name. It should just be one word. So I bet my Stream Plus currency, and if he then does win, then I get my money back plus some. So, I mean, that's how gambling works. This really doesn't bother me unless you can buy the currency. If you can just earn the currency by playing the game, and this is what I'm hoping. They did not say this one way or the other yet, but if you can just get the currency by playing the game, and then you can try and have more points than other people, that's fine. I don't want people to be able to buy the currency, and I don't want people to be able to trade the currency in for real world money, because that is where things are going to get really ugly. You're going to see players who allow, like, all right, here's an example that I have for you. He didn't do anything wrong, but it's against the Major League Baseball's rules for somebody to bet on their own games. Okay? Pete Rose put bets on his own games, and he got caught. This is a long time ago. He got caught, and this is why he's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame. He is definitely a Hall of Fame player, and here I am talking about sports ball, which is weird, but he's a Hall of Fame. He should be in the Hall of Fame. He's a really good player, or he was when back in the 80s or whatever. But he was betting on his own games. Now, yes, he was betting that he would win. So, I can understand why you can't bet that I would lose. That would be against the rules. But here's what I could do. I could set up a separate Twitch account, and I could make bets on my own games that I'm playing, and then throw those games ruining the experience of the other people on my team, ruining the experience of the people that I'm playing against, ruining the experience of the people that are watching, but I could make money doing it. So Amazon, aka Twitch, they have to be really, really careful here. If there is a way to exchange Stream Plus currency for real world money, this is a huge mistake, in my opinion. No, Pete Rose was betting for his team that they would win. At least that's how I understood it back in the day. So what do you think about this, Zap? I know that you've got a real, somebody mentions gambling and you start shaking your fist.
Oh man, it's see, right. My issue with gambling is I haven't got an issue with gamble. I play poker. I haven't got an issue, but when it comes to this kind of thing, nothing more, especially after the CSGO gambling, the FIFA gambling in the UK. So for me, Amazon are just being stupid because we don't. Hang on, let me rephrase that. Amazon have to be careful, or they're being stupid because one, we don't know if the currency is linked to real world, or it's just a currency that you get like watching a stream. Now, again, if it's a currency like watching a stream, all right, fair enough. If it's not linked to anything and it's just a bit of fun, fair enough. But as you say, if they link it to any real world money, any kind of item, skins, anything that can be turned into tradable items, real world money, anything, then Twitch loses every single bit of respect from me. I can't bear it because one, they're going to have to. You can't, as we said a couple of weeks ago about the whole Valve and CS:GO. You can't check if someone is 18 online.
Yeah,
you
I'm
have
18.
to be exactly. That's all it is. But my 4-year-old son is 18 online. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's that simple. There's no way to validate that. You are at a point now where all of a sudden this is just probably could be the dumbest move Twitch or Amazon, sorry, not even going to call it's Amazon, that Amazon could make. As Eskimo Princess puts in chat about the lawsuits. Now, again, if you can buy the currency, then yeah, by all means, go to town on them because they deserve it. Because especially the way Valve and the whole CSGO thing is, it's just a mess. And like you say, we got a couple of football players in the UK that are being done for, again, same rules apply. In the UK, you cannot be betting on Premier League matches or football matches if you play as a top flight footballer. There's 2 or 3 footballers at the minute that are being done for it, and they could lose their positions in the teams, they could lose lots and lots of money, and this scares me. It doesn't frustrate me, it scares me to the point where all of a sudden you're going into that grey area, and that grey area of the unknown, where what's legal and where, how do you find out that if it's tied to real world money? How do you, I'm speechless. I really am. I didn't even know about this. I didn't quite catch the show notes or your stories. I just think this is stupid. Please, Amazon, please rethink it, or please just make sure it's a fun system for people to just have a bit of fun with and a giggle, not tie it to. I don't want to be able to. If I get like 1,000 stream, and again, you're right, the name is stupid.
Stream Plus currency.
Yeah, if I get 1,000 Stream Plus currency, I'm going to buy 10 Hearthstone packs. Then no, I don't want that. I don't want ways of developing this into something which is just bad. It's really, really bad. I understand that on the flip side of it, I understand Twitch is big business these days. A lot of people are preferring to watch streams and esports actually instead of watching normal telly. A lot of people watch streams. I mean, we watch Bogotter, Jebro, all these guys. We sit down for a few hours, we watch them. We stream ourselves and people watch us. So I understand that. Amazon see this as big business. All I'm going to say is, Amazon, if you listen to this podcast, don't screw it up. Do not screw it up.
And Amazon, if you listen to this podcast, we're looking for a sponsor.
That's it.
Yeah.
But
In
we're
which
not
case,
sponsored
we'll
by
be
Stream
like,
Plus.
Stream Plus is the greatest thing ever.
Could you imagine me on a podcast if we had to endorse that? I'd be like,
Yeah. All right. So let's see. The next story is yours. Let's hear it. What do you got?
yeah, it's Blizzard back on top, maybe. I say maybe because Blizzard haven't come out and confirmed this. It actually denies reports. Apparently, Warcraft hit 10 million subscribers.
Yeah. And yeah, they're denying it because they said a while ago, we're not going to report on subscriber numbers anymore. And, you know, a lot of people, like shareholders, were not happy that they said that. But they said, we're not going to do that. And now I don't know, like somebody came out and said, and I don't know who it was. Maybe you know more about it.
Yeah, there's so I'll read the story. And word has come from game director Tom Chilton that it has hit 10.1 million subscribers. So for me, that's Warcraft back on top of the pedestal of MMOs. That's the game you want to be playing. Speaking from someone who hasn't played Warcraft to someone who has played Legion, has it improved? Do you think this is what's happened? Do you feel that Legion is? Do you think WoW is busier than ever? Is it worth going back to? Is it the game that everyone loves?
All right, so let me answer that question with a couple qualifiers. You said, is it busier than ever? It's really hard to tell because these days they have mega servers, basically. Same as every other MMO these days. It used to be that when I was running around on... I was originally on the Dalaran server. And when I was running around, every single person that I ever saw was also on the Dalaran server. And if you were on a heavily populated server, there were constantly people all over the place. If you were on a server that had few people, then it was like a ghost town as you ran through the world. I mean, sure, you could still talk to people, but you wouldn't run into people in the world very often. Now, basically, they reload your zone on the fly and add people back and forth into your zone constantly. So I have no idea if it's busier than ever. I see an adequate number of people around me as I play is the one way that I guess I could look at it. I would prefer to have a few more people. Like, I would prefer to have it a little more teaming with people as I run around. But at the same time, I'm a slower player. I don't play as much, so I'm always going to be a little bit behind the main crowd as they push through the content to get from point A to point B.
Yeah.
So you take that part. But at the same time, that would mean that I would have more lag. So they seem to have found a way, and this has been by far the smoothest launch of any MMO expansion or otherwise ever that I have played. And I've played a lot of them. It's very smooth. I don't run into a bunch of lag. I see people, but I don't see too many people, and that's not because nobody's playing. It's because they're splitting it up so that players are not experiencing lag. So there's the answer to your first question on whether or not it's busier than ever. Your second question was, is it worth playing? And I played World of Warcraft for 7 years. No, 8 years. And then I took 4 years off because this is its 12th year that it's been around, which is bananas. All right, there are some of my students who were 2 years old when Warcraft came out, or when World of Warcraft came out. You know, and I've been playing it off and on for all that time. So I played it for 8 years. I took 4 years off, and now I'm back into it. And I have to say, and I don't, without qualification, meaning I don't have to justify this. It's just not justify. I don't have to say anything to justify it. This is the best the game has been. It is absolutely awesome. All the quests are incredibly fun. There are ways for everybody to play. You don't feel like you have to be a hardcore dude 13 in order to be able to accomplish something in the game. I can log in for 15 minutes do something, and log back out, and I can feel like, all right, I'm good for today. Or I can sit down and play for 12 hours. I haven't, because I don't have time for that. But if I did, I could sit down and play for 12 hours and not run out of stuff to do. There's so much content that people can't keep up with it. Like, everybody's like, one of the main complaints about the game is right now is everybody's quest log is full. They have so many quests to do in the game, they can't get through all of them. And so they have to pick and choose, which I look at as an awesome thing. That means my experience is different from your experience.
Yeah, of course.
So that's my take on World of Warcraft Legion. It's fantastic. If you don't play it, you should. If you've played it and you didn't like it, you should give it another shot. And if you think I'm wrong, then you can feel free to think I'm wrong, but I am loving the game, and I'm playing it as often as I can.
I will just say a little bit more about the story. They spoke. Tom Chilton says that it's hard to tell what the future is going to bring. We have our inner rivalry with Overwatch, but it's still possible we'll jump over 12 million again. There are a lot of potential players. 100 million WoW accounts have been created, or they're active accounts. 100 million.
No. That's not active. Oh no, you said that's not active. Okay, good.
Yeah, they're not active. No, they're just accounts created. So my account is one of those 100 million because it's not active. So we know that when Warlords of Draenor was the previous expansion,
yes,
it sunk to 5.5 million, which that's still a huge number in MMO, like MMO numbers.
Every other MMO in the world would kill to have 5 million players.
Yeah, exactly. Every other MMO, if they were pay monthly, would kill for 5.5 million players. That's the one thing with WoW. They still, that and Final Fantasy 14 are the two MMOs on top. If you want to pay monthly, you go for one of those two. They're up there. Obviously, Final Fantasy's nowhere near the WoW kind of region of players, but they're the only two I can think of out there that have continued and strongly done the monthly subscription. And I sit here back as a person who despises a monthly subscription. I'm one of these. When I heard about WoW, I'm not playing WoW. I pay for an internet. I pay for this. I'm not playing. I was one of them, and that's always stopped me from playing WoW. I played WoW to level 20. Kind of wish that I would play a little bit more to really experience the late game and stuff. But maybe one day I'll go to it and actually give it a go properly. But do you know what? I say hats off to you, Blizzard. You're doing a good job. Crack on with it, and I hope it's an ever success. 12 years, still going. Get on, crack on.
Yeah, and just to talk really quick about the fact that there is a subscription for WoW. A lot of people say, well, first off, just so everybody knows, if you are somebody who plays World of Warcraft a lot, or if you are somebody who gets into an MMO and you're like, okay, I'm going to play a lot of my MMO because I focus on my game, or if you're really good at making money in these games, I am not. But if you're one of those people who are really good at making money in games, WoW is free to play for you because you can buy your... they have a way to... basically to sell gold. What they do is you can buy a subscription or a month subscription, and then you can turn around and sell it for gold on the auction house, or you can use the auction house and buy your subscription with the gold. So if you're somebody who doesn't have a lot of time and wants to make a bunch of gold, but you have extra spending cash, you can buy gold by buying a subscription and selling it to another player. It's really funny. That was the way that there was a book that I read. I'm going to see if I can remember it by the end, where it was about an MMO, Snowblind. It was called Snowblind, I believe. And that game was about an MMO, and that was how they managed to deal with the gold farmers. So you can play WoW for free if you're a dedicated player. I'm not dedicated enough to play it for free. Secondly, a lot of people say WoW needs to go free to play. No, they don't. they have a lot of subscribers, and if they go free to play, yes, more people will play the game. But will enough of those people spend the money, $14 a month, in order to on their game every month? Right now, they've got enough players that they are sustainable the way they are, and then some. I don't see them going free to play anytime soon. They said when the game first came out, we only need 100,000 players to keep this game floating. We only need 100,000 paid subscriptions in order to keep this game online. I'm sure that that's gone up since then, what they need, but seeing as how they're maybe not floating around 10 million, I don't see them changing that anytime soon.
No, I also think it'd be a mistake to them just free to play, and that's my honest opinion. I think that everyone knows it's a subscription-based game. If you want to play WoW, you pay a sub.
Yeah.
There are ways to play the game for free. I think it would be a mistake, and I think you'd have a lot more fans upset than you would be happy that they've gone free to play.
Well, I don't think that you would have fans that are upset. I'd be thrilled if it was free to play and they had, just the kind of, a house, or not a house, a store like Guild Wars 2 has, where you can buy things to customize your character.
That's
I would be
that's
happy
a whole
if they did
different argument.
that. But their investors would probably be angry. That's for sure. Because that'd be throwing a lot of money out the window. All right,
yeah, they'd be throwing it. I don't even want to do the sums on, 10 million subscribers paying $14 a month. That's mental.
Right, yeah, it is pretty crazy. All right, let's move on to the next story, and that is that J.J. Abrams, who is the guy who directed the newest Star Wars movie, he has confirmed that both Portal and Half-Life movies are still in development. Now, just so you know,
wow,
he is also a very big producer. So that doesn't mean that he's directing them, although I think it would be great if he directed them. But he was at the Westworld red carpet because I guess he also is a producer on some HBO show. I don't know what it is. And he said, yes, both of these projects are very much still in development. Now, I think that he will not be directing Portal. I think that Dan Trachtenberg is going to be the guy who's directing Portal, and the reason why is Dan Trachtenberg already made a short film in the Portal universe, and it was fantastic. If you haven't seen it, just Google Dan Trachtenberg. You can figure out how to spell it probably with Google, and Portal, and you get to watch. It's like, I don't know, maybe 5 minutes long, but it's awesome. And there's no dialogue in it. It is very well directed. And Dan Trachtenberg also recently directed oh God, what's the name of the movie? There was a shaky cam movie a few years back with aliens attacking New York City. Do you know what I'm talking about? Cloverfield.
I think
So Dan Trachtenberg directed Cloverfield, 10 Cloverfield Lane, which was produced by J.J. Abrams. So J.J. Abrams was the producer on 10 Cloverfield Lane. Dan Trachtenberg was the director of that movie, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that movie, amazing movie. It's really good. And Dan Trachtenberg has experience making Portal stuff that has been very well received. So I think we're going to see Dan Trachtenberg directing Portal, maybe Half-Life as well. And if his name sounds familiar to you, it's because he used to be a podcaster on the Totally Rad Show, which is it used to be a really great podcast, but they sadly canceled. or stopped making it, probably because Danny was going to be a little too busy making movies. Anyway, so what do you think? Are you excited at the idea of a Portal and Half-Life movies?
I'm gonna hold my head in shame because I've never played Half-Life 2.
Whoa! Really? You've never played Half-Life 2?
It's a game that I've missed and I've been meaning to play. And it came up on sale on Steam like a couple of weeks ago. I did buy it. And I just haven't got round to sit down and play it. People say it's like one of the greatest games on earth. So I need to experience that.
Yes. Honestly, part of me
me
wants you to play it on stream so that we can see you, but part of me wants you to play it solo so that nobody can ruin it for you. Because it's so good.
I think I'm going to play it on stream, and that'll be kind of a present to myself when the computer is completely settled. Once it's all settled and done, that's going to be the game. It's just a game that, again, it came out at the wrong time for me to be doing PC gaming. You know, I was always a console-based player back in the day, and I just missed it. I just missed Half-Life, and you know, and it's sort of gone by me. And a lot of my friends say, "Have you played Half-Life?" I'm like, "No," and they look at me as if I've just just committed murder. I was like, "What?" One of my friends went, "And you call yourself a gamer?" I was like, "Whoa!" You know, and it's like, okay, so I realised that I have missed quite. It's kind of like, you know, like WoW to the MMO genre. It's one of those games that you kind of have to play. So, Portal though, I love Portal. Me and my wife sat down and played Portal 2. Absolutely adore the game. The animations, everything about Portal is beautiful. If they, you know, it always scares me when you hear of a license like a game license going to movie or a movie license going to game. It always scares me because you think to yourself, right, are they going to do it justice? Are they going to, you know, all these things? And 8 or 9 times out of 10, they get it wrong in my eyes. I think I can't think of many. Shadow of Mordor is probably one recently that I played, which is got the Lord of the Rings movie license. That's a great game. There's a couple of the Marvel games that were on the PS3, which were good. You know, I'm ignoring the Lego stuff because, you know, they seem to get stuff right with the Lego games. But the actual, like, major ones you hear of, the games and stuff, I don't know. But going the other way, let's see what happens. If there's a film coming out and JJ is on it and Dan Trachtenberg or however you want to pronounce it, is directing it, then yeah, I'm quite excited, especially but I won't see the Half-Life movie until I've played the game.
No, don't see the Half-Life movie. Although, just so have you played Half-Life 1?
I've not played any Half-Life.
All right, so you have to start with Half-Life 1.
Well,
you
okay,
have to.
So
it's very good. The graphics look like garbage these days. I think somebody actually did remake it though, and Valve, like a third party, remade Half-Life 1 using the Source engine, and Valve allowed them to put it on Steam. So you can even get like an updated version of it. I don't know how much it costs or anything.
It's in at this point in time, Half-Life costs space points, 7 space points. It literally costs nothing.
Yeah.
So again, if you're sitting there listening going, I've never played Half-Life, then again, I am hearing this, that it's one of these games, overwhelmingly positive reviews. Steam. You know, it's literally got it. So for me, it's a game that I'm going to play. I will play it on stream so people can see it. I don't quite understand, because I haven't played it, I don't understand why it was one of these games that made everyone freak out so much.
I can tell you why without ruining anything for you. The thing about Half-Life that is so great is the storytelling. There's no cutscenes. Everything you play a character named Gordon Freeman, and you are going through this world, and you are seeing this story unfold in front of you without cutscenes, without your character uttering an ounce of dialogue. You're just seeing these things happen, and like Half-Life 1 was really great, But when they got to Half-Life 2, their storytelling abilities were unbelievable. And then, just so you know, there's then after Half-Life 2, there's Half-Life 2 Episode 1, and then Half-Life 2 Episode 2. So there was actually 2 more small games that came out after the original Half-Life 2 that continue the story a little bit. And those are both also awesome. And this is why
Okay, well,
people will say things like, you know, if Gabe Newell, who is the CEO of Valve, if he sneezes and it sounds like he said the word 3, people go nuts.
right, so now, I understand like the following behind Half-Life is like ridiculous, you know. But again, it's going to be something I just sit down, you know, just and play. So you know, what we'll do is we'll come back in a month or so, and if I haven't played it by then you can kick my backside.
I will. All right, let's move on to your last story before we get to the lightning round. Why don't you tell us about it?
A horror game delayed. Now this comes from Kotaku, where apparently the Five Nights at Freddy creator has delayed his game. And it's supposed to come out Friday. So apparently, Five Nights at Freddy's sister location is supposed to be released on October 7th. So we're talking tomorrow, unless Scott Cawthorn decides his game is too scary.
Wait,
Over at us.
I haven't read the story, so wait, what did you just say?
That's exactly my point. Basically, Scott Cawthorn is delaying his game because he thinks it's too scary. It's a horror game.
Yeah, why don't you read the thing? Read the quote.
I'm sorry.
I just read
it. Okay. Right, hang on. Right. So this was posted on his Steam page. All right. And over at Sister Location's official Steam page, Cawthorn has posted the following update to informing fans of the potential delay. Hey guys, I wanted to post an announcement that this game might be postponed and I'm not really sure when it would be released. Great, that's really great confidence in you. There are certain plot elements that are very dark to the point where I sometimes feel sick. It's a horror game. There would be no easy fix to this. I either release it Friday as it is, or delay it by several months to completely rework the plot into something kid-friendly. I am unsure what I'm going to do. As always, thanks for your support.
Wow, that's bananas. So he made his game, and he's like,
turned into a giggle.
He made the game, and now he's like, it's too intense for kids. And you know, I'm not gonna fault him for that, because a lot of kids do play his game, and if he wants to if he wants to take the responsibility to try and make sure that it's not too intense for younger players, I applaud that. But how is it that you get to the day before it's supposed to come out before you come to the conclusion that it's too intense for kids?
It's like, I'm very much kind of one of these guys. If it's a horror game, it's a horror game. You kind of, if it's labeled horror, you kind of know what you're getting with a horror game. It's supposed to scare and make you feel really uneasy. Yeah, it's a horror game. I don't generally play horror games, even though the community that watches me wants me to play a Scream stream, which I have one booked, ready, you know, to go. But I can't. I played like 30 minutes of the Resident Evil demo, and I wanted to poop myself. I'm that bad at it.
Oh, when you went to EGX?
I've done it twice. The VR was even worse.
Oh,
but
God.
doing it on stream with people watching me, I've never had a game. And the demo just make me go nope in all my life. But this is silly. This is beyond. Like I say, I understand that a lot of children do play his games. A lot of kids play his games. And
which I've never played any of the Five Nights at Freddy's games.
No,
I
haven't.
heard that they're very scary, and I was very surprised to hear that they're very popular among very young children. I don't understand. Like, I would not allow my son to play that game.
Dude, I'm the same. I wouldn't even want my daughter who's 10 to play these horror games, because I know that they'd be up for weeks, and you know it's kind of not what I do. especially if it is labeled horror. So, and I know the Five Nights at Freddy, you can also get them on your phones and stuff. So they're very well optimized for the platforms that he puts them on. But if you're going to release a horror game, release it as it is, and don't rework the plot because it's not child friendly. It's a horror game, label it with an 18 rating. I know 18 rating doesn't mean anything on the internet, but if someone goes and buys that game for their child, then it's not down to the developer. That's down to the parents. That's down to that's a whole
definitely
different story, you know, we can get into. But this made me laugh so hard because it's like you're a horror developer making a dark game with a sickening plot, and you're going to delay it a day before it's released.
It was very funny. That's hilarious.
Yes.
All right, let's move on to the lightning round. We got 4 more stories that I want to talk about real quick. So the first one, and this is lightning round, so we'll be going quick. Nintendo is putting out their little classic game box. Basically, it's got 30 games on it. It looks like an old Nintendo Entertainment System. It comes with Nintendo Entertainment System controllers, but it up-reses stuff and has like an HDMI port, so you can play these 30 games on it. No cartridge needed. You just like use a menu to get through it. The problem why I say that it's coming up short is because the controller has a 3-foot cord on it. What do you think? What do you think, Zap?
The face palm says it all.
Yeah.
It's like, what? 3 foot? What? Come on, Nintendo, sort it out.
Oh,
we actually
God.
we nearly purchased one of these for my daughter. Then I read the specification. I'm like, no, that's gonna go everywhere. It's like, come on, who uses cables on their controllers? Even Sony have wireless controllers. God damn it.
I agree. All right, so next one, Ubisoft. What's up?
It's more of a follow-up. My 2 stories from this are follow-ups. Ubisoft, I'm very happy about this, have fended off Vivendi's takeover for now. We talked about this a few weeks ago that I was quite worried about Vivendi with their kind of very straight and hard tactics in the gaming world, that they wanted, could cut a lot of Ubisoft's creativity out and stuff like this, but they want to keep battle. So they want to keep battle in their fight against Vivendi, and for now, they've kept control over their company. But this is for now. I'm going to watch this very closely. So let's hope that it stays a Ubisoft company, not Ubisoft Vivendi. So hats off to those people that won that battle.
Awesome. I don't have anything else to say there. I agree with you. Next story, Mark Zuckerberg, who, if you don't know, he's the CEO of Facebook. And Facebook bought Oculus before it came out, by the way. But he says that Oculus is working on a mid-range standalone VR set. This is from The Verge. The quote is, "The new product is designed to be portable, so you can take it anywhere, yet remain affordable and accessible." Oh, that's not the quote. Well, where's the actual quote? All right, I can't find it. But it also says it's going to have a similar design to the Oculus Rift, including built-in ear pads, but without wires that tether it to the Rift to a PC. So very interesting that they're trying to. It seems like they're feeling a little pressure from Google and Samsung. Samsung has the Samsung Galaxy. I guess it's just VR. I'm not sure what it's called. And then
it's called Samsung's Gear VR.
Yeah, Gear VR. That's right. And then Google announced yesterday or the day before that they've got a VR solution coming out that hooks up to their Pixel phone, which looks really cool, called Project Daydream.
Gimme!
For those of you that can't tell, that sound is Zap rubbing his hands together, like a Scrooge McDuck when he sees some gold. He's very excited about the Pixel, I take it?
I'm just excited about anything Google brings out, phone and VR.
Yeah.
That's all I got to say about it.
Yeah. Let's move on. And by the way, this next story, I saw it and I opened up the doc to paste it, and then I saw that it was there. I was like, all right, he's already got it covered. Go ahead. Tell us all about it.
Yeah, I haven't got the link. I couldn't find a link anywhere, so you'll have to just listen to me ramble for a second. Mods for PS4 on Fallout and Skyrim. Well done, Bethesda and Sony. You sorted your rubbish out and get on with it. So by the sounds of it, they're going to be allowing mods for PS4 for Skyrim, Remastered, and Fallout. There is a but.
Uh-oh.
There is a but that it's not going to be exactly like the Xbox where you have the editors and stuff and can make it. There's still some strings attached. So I think Sony don't want any profanity on their system, but apparently you can still download it from the PC, but you can't. There's a but behind it. I don't quite know the ins and outs. I'm going to have to do a bit more digging on that one. All I know is that they're going to allow it on the console, but there is a slight but behind it.
All right.
Not a but a but.
Yeah. Well,
No,
I'm glad that the mods are coming back to the PS4. I knew you'd be excited about that. It doesn't affect me, but I'm glad that they're figuring that stuff out. We'll be right back with the long play. You guys make sure that you stick around. Be right back. All right, this is the part where we talk about what we have been playing this week. I'm going to go ahead and talk first about what I've been playing. I played my Guild War 2 raid, which, if you guys watched the stream, that was a disaster. We really played like crap. I got us killed quite a bit, I'm sure. I also played WoW. I'm done with 4 of the 5 new zones, but there's still a ton of content for me to get through. So I've been playing that when I can. But then I streamed some Shovel Knight, which if you have not played Shovel Knight, you absolutely have to. It is a Metroidvania style game. It's incredibly fun, and basically it's inspired by Mario. It's inspired by Zelda. It's a modern game that's made with retro aesthetics, and the controls are really great. It's got some very funny dialogue in it as you play, and it's got really rewarding combat. I decided to very severely punish myself, as when I was playing, one of the cool things about the game is as you get to a checkpoint, you can decide if you want to destroy that checkpoint. You can get rewarded for destroying the checkpoint. What does that mean? It means you get more gold or another life, or not another life, or you get more gold or something else. But what is the downside to that? Well, if you die, you don't go back to that checkpoint. You go back to the previously undestroyed checkpoint. And so what I did is I made it so I streamed it, and I made it so that when I played, if my audience, like I have action points in my chat. People earn action points by hanging out in chat. And I said, if you guys want to spend your action points, I'll destroy the checkpoints. And so they were spending action points. I know that Zap made me destroy a few checkpoints by spending his action points. So that meant that when I died, I had to go right back to the beginning of the level, or maybe back a couple checkpoints to make it harder for me. It was really fun, and I can't wait to play it again. So, what have you been playing this week?
Well, I'll do the Guild Wars 2 raid. We're stuck on the boss before Sabbatha. Gorseful. We got stuck on Gorseful this week. We Vale Guardian. Vale Guardian was being an absolute pain in the rear end. The green circles was just spawning in the worst places possible, and it just wasn't a good night. It wasn't our smoothest runs. We've got to Sabbatha before, and we were just having a bit of a rough time. So that's my raid. This week has been FIFA 17. Oh dear, EA have got me by the what's-its, and they've really clawed me back in. Yeah, them ones. FIFA 17 is just amazing. What they've done with it, the Frostbite engine, it still feels a bit FIFA 16, which I'm a little bit disappointed with. The Frostbite engine has improved so much. Ultimate Team, I'm well and truly back into. the card game. You know, there's a card game attached to it. I'm loving it. And yeah, I've done a little bit of streaming that. But the main game that's caught my attention this week is, and I did tease you a little bit yesterday, I believe, in Discord.
You did.
Is Origami. Game has taken me, has blown me away. It's a beautiful art style. It's just amazing. It's stunning. It's stunningly gorgeous, and it's a third-person stealth game, and you play as a shadow. All right, so you can only walk in and out of the shadows. You can walk in sunlight, but your powers decrease and things like that. But you can teleport between the shadows, and they've taken this idea of a stealth game and done it like this, where, like, so you control the shadows and you move in the shadows. You only have one life. That's it. You can't take too much damage, or you can take no damage. Like literally no damage at all. If they see, because the guards control the light. So as soon as you are hit by their swords, they kill you instantly. And you follow the story of what they call an Origami, which is this summoned shadow, which is there to help save. You know, but I would highly recommend this game. It came out this week on the 4th of October. I saw it on Steam as a new game, and I had to get it because it's just beautiful. I can't praise it enough, and I'm doing a series on my YouTube channel. I did episode 1 tonight before the stream. It's great. PS4 and Steam. Linstute Works, who are the guy? They got a studio in Barcelona. Really, 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 really good, and it's co-op. Run jump. It's
that's
co-op.
Cool.
Yeah, you can play as two shadows. So if you ever do pick it up, there is a stream for us both to do.
Yeah, and just so
It's
everybody
so
knows,
good.
it's $18 on Steam right now, which that seems like a pretty good price, I think.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's not easy. It's difficult. It really is difficult. And they've got like a guard perception system. So if the guards see you in the light, they notice you, and that feels fair. That doesn't feel like they can just see you from miles away. If you stand in the shadows, they can't see you because you are a shadow. Mm-hmm. But if you come in the light and stuff like that, then they will spot you.
Awesome.
So it feels like they've really got it right, and I can't highly recommend this game enough. It's wonderful.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and hit up the. Oh gosh, what's the next topic? Oh, wish listed. So for wish listed, this is where we talk about some game that caught our attention this week. We probably haven't bought it yet, but we're probably going to in the future. The one that I found, I was watching a buddy of mine on. He's actually my raid leader, Resistance Fox. I was watching him play it on Twitch for a little bit, and this game is called Viking Squad. And you know that I just absolutely love, side-scrolling games that have that kind of whimsical character. But Viking Squad is really interesting graphics. It's it basically, they say it's a lane-based brawler with up to 3 characters. Now, when they say, and it's local or online multiplayer, but when they say lane-based brawler. So on the game that it makes me think of the most is oh god, the name of the game just went right out of my head. I can't remember the name of it. There's Castle Crashers. It reminds me of Castle Crashers, and I don't know. Viking Squad looks really funny. It looks like a funny game. It looked like it had really good controls. And it's definitely something that is on my wish list for the future. And yeah, Eskimo Princess said, speaking of wish list, that Disco Ball, it's Disco Dodgeball, is a game that I actually have it now. A viewer, Abigail13, who's in chat today, of course, she picked it up for me, which is awesome of her. But that game is on sale now, and I'll tell you what, Abby, that game has gotten lots of play in my house. Because my son loves that game. So thank you for that. I haven't played it online yet because, or on stream yet, because it's tough to find players to play it with. But right now, Eskimo Princess says that game's on sale, Disco Dodgeball, for $3. So if you've got an extra $3 laying around, either, you know, go buy Disco Dodgeball and check it out. It's worth it. And it's, you know, the thing about that game is you want to have built-in people to play with, because it's tough to find people to play that with. Like, I often see my son playing, and he's playing against bots because you can't get a game very often. So just keep that in mind. But it's, you know, it's $3, so you can't really go wrong. What's on your wish list? Whoops, the music got mixed up. What's on your wish list for this week, man?
My wish list is, I'm going to mention the game that everyone loves me to mention. Well, this is finally, maybe, hopefully, my No Man's Sky. Osiris New Dawn is an early access game. Yes, I'm promoting an early access game. Be wary, early access. I will give you that warning. So things may change, but this looks fantastic. I think it's like it's $18.99 here in the UK, so probably about $22 for you, something like that. And
24,
it's 20 odd dollars for you.
Yep.
So you crash land on a distant planet and build a colony with your friends, battle lovers and explore a system, prospecting the immersible riches, discover, fight. So it's kind of like a cross between No Man's Sky and Ark Survival, is the best way to describe it. And it's getting good reviews. There's a few YouTubers that are playing it and saying it's very good for an early access game. They've got like space walking and stuff like that, which just looks incredible. So I have a real for the last sort of month or so, or last 8 or 9 weeks since No Man's Sky released, I've had a real space itch to play a game that just makes me want to set up on a new planet and just, you know, this whole thing. And unfortunately, No Man's Sky just wasn't that game. This game though looks incredible. It looks good fun. It's kind of got that Minecrafty feel to it as well. And you know, I'm all for that kind of game. If they develop it right and it goes through the early access and comes out the other end, then yeah, Eskimo Princess in chat puts it down perfectly. It's Rust in space. Yeah, I would describe it as probably a really good way of saying it. It's Rust in space.
Right, it looks like the Martian the game. Yeah,
that's something else someone described it as, you know, Martian the game. So all I'm hoping for is, you know, that they get it right. You know, an early access game scares me. I'm quite possibly going to pick it up at some point down the road. I'm just going to watch the development for a couple of months, maybe in the new year, pick it up. But it does look hellishly fun. So that's on my wish list this week.
That looks really like that. That game has my attention. I'm going to be adding this to my wish list too. That looks great. And
yeah,
just so everybody knows, it's got single player as well as online multiplayer. And the online multiplayer is co-op, I think. So I don't think it's like you're fighting against other players. You're on a team with people. That looks really cool. The thing
that really caught my attention was it has a single player mode as well, which, you know, means you can just dive into it. It has, like, you can just make the maps and you can change how all the map seed works. So they've kind of taken bits from Rust, bits from Minecraft, bits from Ark Survival, the good 5% from No Man's Sky, and just amalgamated it together and gone, look, here's a space game.
Yeah, but it says in the description that it's that your crash landed on a planet, so I don't think you get to go from planet to planet.
No, you don't. You don't get to do, and that doesn't bother me. If I'm honest, I don't. If you have to be on one planet, now they're obviously randomly generated planets, so you'll never have a planet that's the same because you can adjust the sliders and make a planet to your own liking, you know. So, but that you don't need to go from planet to planet, planet to planet, if there's enough content on that one planet and you can make it happen. So it's really on my radar. It's very, very, very hard to be played. So yeah, and the graphics apparently are very good looking as well.
Yeah, I agree. All right, so that's it for the show, except for our final segment, which is called...
Will you shut up and listen to me? Hey, listen!
Hey, listen, that's right. That's where you guys get to Tell us what you think. We got an email this week from Princess, and she said, "Hi, Eskimo Princess here. Short and sweet response today. Please enjoy my haiku. Esports is a thing. Esports creates jobs for me. Give me more esports." I don't know what I mean. I am aware of what a haiku is, but I don't know the rules for haikus. I'm going to assume that she used them correctly. And then she said on the bottom of that email, she said, there's a lawyer whose sole job is to protect esports players now. It's creating jobs for video producers, videographers, shoutcasters, artists. Anything that creates jobs is a win in my eyes. I don't follow esports myself because I honestly don't care enough about a game to care about an international tournament, but a lot of people do. People can deny it all they want, but it is a thing. It is definitely a thing. That goes without saying. It's definitely a thing. And it's going to grow, and it is going to happen. There's a documentary called All Work and All Play. Shows a pretty good timeline of how it started and how big it is through the League of Legends. There's no denying that it's getting bigger, which is why you ultimately see games with a big focus on it. Sports itself is a huge industry that makes a ton of money. Of course, video game developers are going to want a piece of that pie. As far as myself, though, I don't watch esports really. I only know of the teams that were in the documentary. I've seen a few rounds of Overwatch tournaments, but none of them hold my interest for longer than a few minutes. Mostly because the shoutcasters are usually pretty awful. I'd have to agree most of the time that's true, although when I've watched Heroes of the Storm gameplay, I feel like they get really good ones, and I think Jebro does a good job as well. Some of the younger shoutcasters I think can be a little immature, and so I don't want to watch them. But a lot of times the people who are telling me that's an important part. If you want to make esports take off, you have to have shoutcasters, though. That's the problem. You just got to get people that are a little more professional at it. Right now there's a little too much screaming that goes on. Oh, and then she says, no offense to Jebro, though, who is the only reason that I watch esports, to see him shoutcast. I think some events can be exciting, but I guess there's something to be said about the skill it takes to play a video game. I don't think it's reached people's minds that it's a thing that's going to stick around for a while. So much for my short response. Yeah, that was really long, Eskimo Princess, but thank you so much for writing in. I really appreciate it. What do you think about her response that she says that a lot of times the esports commentators are just a little too over the top? I use the word immature myself, but what do you think about it?
Yeah, Jebro's the worst. No, not really. No, I think that, again, it's like any sports commentator. I'm going to use sports in the general term, as in, football or soccer, and you sit down to watch a game, and I'll use my own personal experience for this. When I sit down and watch a match, I will want to hear a certain two types of commentator, because it's natural for me, and they kind of flow better, and they just seem to be better. So when I listen to it on the radio, my ears kind of like certain 2 or 3 commentators. And when you hear a young commentator, no, that's not fair. A different kind of commentator that does seem a bit immature, and they can ruin the game for you. They can ruin the experience. So I understand exactly what she's saying. A point I did pick up about the whole opening jobs and say, I think that's brilliant. I think that's a really good thing that esports is opening another whole job avenue for people. So long may it continue.
Yeah. And one last thing about the commentators. A lot of times, yeah, she called them a couple times in her email shoutcasters. And that's the thing that I don't like. I understand play-by-play, but you have to be more than just knowing the game really well. You also have to know how to talk to people without screaming all the dang time. Every time, like, I was watching, I can't remember what game I was watching. I think it was Smite. And the commentators, there was something happening, and I guess they almost feel like they feel like they have to say every single thing that could possibly happen. So they talk really, really fast, and they, as more things happen, they start shouting more and more and more. and it just gets really loud and a little unwieldy, and it makes me want to back off from what I'm watching and shut it off. If you watch like American football, those guys are not yelling all the time. They're composed and they're professional. And so right now, I think a lot of esports things are going towards, hey, I want somebody to shoutcast who understands the game well. But we also need to look at, and Eskimo Princess said a really good word in chat just now. She said, we need to look at people who are experienced. And right now, you can't have anybody who's experienced because nobody's experienced in this arena yet. It's too new. So I think down the line, you're going to get a lot. Things will get more and more professional, and there'll be less shouting all the time.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that is the biggest issue with me when I'm watching. I like watching the Guild Wars 2 stuff because I understand the Guild Wars 2 PvP scene enough to watch the finals, and when you watch like Jebro, he's very professional at what he does. He shouts at the right time. I find he shouts at the right time. He gets excited when there's a kill going to happen, or a stomp, or a player's gone in and made a very good play. But you do get a lot of shoutcasters, and it's kind of like they're living to that name of shoutcaster, and
right.
All they're doing is just shouting at you, and you're like, all right, chill out,
You can have more than 11.
Yeah, and it's just like, just calm, but it's experienced commentators. I use the word commentator. They'll have like conversation and banter between each other, and and they'll talk about a certain player, like I don't know, David Beckham's on the ball, and they'll talk about like something what he's done, or they'll talk about the team behind him, and they'll give you a little bit of insight into these players, and that all comes with experience and developing that kind of profession. So yeah, I think in a few years' time you'll see. It turned to more of a professional thing other than just someone going. No, ArenaNet, I think, we're looking for shoutcasters for GW2 earlier this year. And all you had to do was just send an email to ArenaNet, and then they would have pulled you in for like an interview or something. So I hope that they actually make it a bit more of a professional standard where, you've got to learn from those experienced people. So yeah, it can only get better.
All right. Well, that is it for the show for this week, everybody. Thanks so much. We don't have a topic unless, do you have a topic for people to write in about off the top of your head, or can we just leave it to them?
I think we'll leave it to them this week. Let's give them free reign. Oh no, is that a good idea though?
I think that they can handle it. So if you guys want to be, that's it for the show this week. If you want to support the show, number one best way to do that is to do so with a review on iTunes. Go to iTunes, look for Run Jump Stomp on there. Go there and just type in a review, good or bad. That's fine. If it's well written, we might even read it on air. You can email the show if you want to be part of the conversation, like Eskimo Princess did this week. You can email the show at runjumpstomp@gmail.com. Or if you want, you can call the show and leave a voicemail. The phone number is 260-RUN-JUMP. That's 260-786-5867. You can find me on Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube at Run Jump Stomp. And Zap, where is it that people can locate you?
In the land of the internet, as in Twitch. Twitter is at DJ Zap. YouTube is at Django Zap.
All right. Me. Thanks always for listening, watching, whatever it is that you guys are doing. We really appreciate it, and we are going to see you next time. Thanks for listening again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.